guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are reviewing the 2025 horror movie, The Monkey.
The monkey? That sounds scary.
Was anyone else disappointed that they use a drummer monkey instead of a cymbals monkey? The Monkey was released on February 21st, 2025 and stars Theo James, or as I know him, from the Divergent series. It also has a cameo from Elijah Wood, Leslie Knope's husband, Adam Scott, and the director himself, Oz Perkins. The Monkey is based off of the short story by Stephen King of the same name. I had read the short story a couple times before I saw the movie, and I was really curious how they were going to do the adaptation because it is a short story, and the short story is very narrator driven. A lot of what happens in the book takes place inside the narrator's head. A lot of it is imagining what the monkey will do, imagining what the monkey is saying, describing his dreams about how the kills took place. So there's not a lot that actually happens kind of in real life in the story. It's an interesting choice what this movie does with the source material. It takes this silly, simple concept of a killer toy and just ramps it up. It leans fully into the silliness. It doesn't hide anything. It's not subtle. This is a killer toy and these are the kills, and the kills are crazy. There is exploding people, there is blood everywhere, there's body parts flying, and the kills are done mostly for comedic effect. I feel like none of them really are serious. Even the ones that should be really impactful and real emotional for the characters are still played very humorously, very over the top. You don't get a lot of the graveness of the moment. This movie is not trying to hide the fact that the monkey is the catalyst of the kills. That's not a mystery. That's not something the characters have to figure out as they go. It's on the screen right away. As soon as they find the monkey, as soon as it winds up, as soon as it plays the drum, someone dies. I'm gonna do my best to make this review spoiler free. However, I do want to be able to give my thoughts about the movie in its entirety, including my opinion about the ending. So if you're one of those people who likes to go into a movie completely blind,
oh, I've heard of this flick. There's a twist in it, isn't there?
then maybe go watch the movie before you finish this review. Thank you. The story is about a boy named Hal whose father disappeared when he was very young. He has a twin brother named Bill, and they are going through their father's stuff one day and they find a box that contains a toy monkey. Hal likes the monkey at first. He takes it, keeps it in his room, and soon the monkey plays a drum and someone dies. In the movie, I feel like every time the monkey plays the drum, it's been wound up by somebody. So Hal winds it up at first, testing it. I can't remember if the monkey ever plays by itself or not. In the short story, you can wind up the monkey, but most of the time it just plays by itself and someone dies. There's not really a person who has to be behind it. As these deaths take place, the boys quickly figure it out, and Hal takes the monkey and he throws it down the well, trying to get rid of it. Cut to many years later, Hal is grown up. He has a son. He has isolated himself because he feels like the monkey was attached to him, and eventually the monkey's gonna come back and start killing the people that he loves. So he's trying to protect his son by only seeing his son once a year. So the story centers around Hal taking his son on a father-son trip, this once-a-year trip, and all of a sudden death starts following him, and he realizes somebody has the monkey, somebody's using the monkey, trying to get to him. So the rest of the movie is Hal trying to protect his son while also trying to figure out who is using the monkey and how to stop it. There's a lot of differences from the short story, but a lot of the beats are very similar. In the short story, there is a boy named Hal. He finds the monkey, he tries to get rid of it, it comes back and threatens him and his son. So those points are very similar, but the execution, the motivations, they're all changed from the short story. In the book, the kills are subtle. They could be attributed to natural causes, or at least most of them could. In the movie, almost none of them are realistic. All of them are grandiose, kind of reminiscent of the Final Destination movies, and let's see how creatively we can kill these people. There's an interesting experience I had watching this movie where towards the end of the movie, probably in the beginning of the third act, I noticed one of the characters really reminded me of Anthony Perkins' character. Anthony Perkins' character from Psycho, and all of a sudden I remembered, oh yeah, this movie is directed by Oz Perkins, who is Anthony Perkins' son. And then I was kind of able to put it together like, oh, okay. He also directed a movie that I'm kind of on the fence about, Longlegs. For me, watching Longlegs was an interesting experience. I didn't hate it, but I didn't really love it. I know there's a lot of people who really do love it. I just felt like some of the plot devices were a little silly, and the same for this movie as well. I felt like it was mostly kind of silly. The characters were over the top. Elijah Wood's character and the mom were more caricatures of people, not really actual people that you'd meet in real life. Kind of similar, of course nobody can do it like Nick Cage, but sort of similar to Nick Cage's character in Longlegs. What I love about the short story, The Monkey, Stephen King is so good at taking a silly concept and just making it really sinister, really unnerving.
A lamp monster! Ooh!
Making the characters feel real, making it feel like there's real stakes. And this movie, it was so ramped up, it was so over the top that it didn't have that realistic feeling to it. I personally, while I understood the choices they made to lean into the silliness of the concept, I would have preferred a more subtle story, more similar to the book. I feel like there's an element to the short story that would have been interesting to see, of this little boy who has this toy that he knows is killing people, but he's the only one who knows it, and he can't tell anybody because nobody will believe him. And the deaths being more subtle, more natural seeming, that you could almost chalk it up to coincidence until it's too late. I feel like that would have been a very interesting thing to see on screen. The movie, the gore was so ramped up, it was played for laughs, and then all of a sudden, especially toward the end, it kind of shifted in tone, and it was really heavy on this message of overcoming childhood trauma, forgiveness, holding grudges, the inevitability and unpredictability of death, that it can be around the corner at any time. You need to hold the people you love close because you never know how much time you have left with them. And that's a really interesting thing to explore, but it doesn't really work when you have a killer monkey that can just burn a whole town down in one night. That doesn't make death very unpredictable when you know you can cause a whole town to go into Armageddon with one crank of this drum. That serious messaging juxtaposed with the comedic, over-the-top kills just didn't really mesh for me. I felt like it should have gone one way or the other, kept the comedy, kept the over-the-top, and maybe just made the father-son relationship kind of the focal point, the groundingness of the movie. That's just my opinion. I'm sure other people will disagree. They'll really appreciate the seriousness combined with the comedy. I'm sure it works for some people. It just didn't quite work for me. Kind of the way Longlegs just didn't quite work for me. The difference is with Longlegs, there was an unraveling of this mystery. There was a twist that a second watch might actually make the movie work better for me, because I would notice things that I didn't notice before. With The Monkey, everything was out in the open. There wasn't really a mystery. There wasn't really a twist. There was nothing that I feel like you would pick up on a second watch. If you have watched it twice and you feel like a second watch you pick up on a lot more and there is stuff that I missed, please let me know. But for me, I don't really feel a need to revisit this movie. It might be fun to put on in the background at a Halloween party or something with a bunch of people, just to have fun and laugh at. But to get something out of it on a second watch, I just don't think there's anything there. I feel bad saying that I didn't like his feature films, because I feel like Osgood Perkins is a really good director. I think he's got a good vision, he's a good storyteller, but it's kind of been 2 for 2 on a miss for me. I will definitely keep checking out his movies because I'm sure he'll make something that I really love. But so far, I didn't hate either of them, but they definitely aren't going on my favorite or my top 10 of the year. Anyway, that's all I have for now. I hope I see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and drink water. Bye-bye! Subscribe!